You could say that today's big international story is about what didn't happen in Scotland. The Scots didn't leave the kingdom or the Queen, and Her Majesty is surely pleased. But if this was only a tale about what didn't happen, then I wouldn't waste your time with it. There is something more. The Scotland independence referendum has received a lot of press coverage. Now it'll drop from the headlines because most of that coverage was about issues relevant only to Scots, like wealth inequality versus the rest of the UK, maybe getting a better deal by joining the European Union and adopting the euro, perhaps even a greater share of North Sea oil revenues. Yet these issues were part of a status quo, which is what the Scots voted to keep. So no more news, right? Wrong. This vote was a very small part of a very big trend. Explaining how big starts with a simple question. Why now? Why has Scotland held an independence vote in September 2014? The deeper answer to this question is not about wealth inequality or EU membership or North Sea oil. These issues have been around for decades. So is it something deeper? Maybe a centuries-old grievance? Well, no, I'm not reaching for that. Don't get me wrong, Braveheart is a great movie for guys' night. I mean, forget the face paint. Mel Gibson's hair just blows my mind. Instead, here I offer this more telling visual, since it is the best measure of the dominant social mood in Scotland and the UK over the past 20 years. It's the London FTSE, the UK's major stock index. I won't dwell on the price action except to note the extraordinary series of highs and lows since 1994. This major world stock index has seen zero net progress since it peaked around 2000, which tells us that in Scotland and the UK, the dominant social mood has been mostly negative. Several key political developments reflect this. In 1998, the Scots voted to establish their own parliament. They didn't have a national legislature before then. Within a decade, the SNP, or pro-independence Scottish National Party, had gained a plurality of seats in the parliament. Then in 2011, the SNP won an outright majority in the legislature. The political long story short is this. The negative mood trend is why Scotland held the independence referendum in 2014. Separatism becomes strong when social mood is negative, to the point that you can anticipate those movements. As far back as 1994, Bob Prechter discussed how the long-term negative mood trend would lead to separatist movements in Europe, specifically that England would lose possession of the last of its empire, including Scotland. The vote in Scotland may be yesterday's news literally, but there is a bigger story, and the bigger story isn't nearly over. It spans from the breakup of the old Soviet Union right through the Arab Spring that has gone so wrong, and that has contributed to the rise of the ISIS, or Islamic State, terrorist army. We can show you those connections and a lot more in our monthly publication, The Socionomist. To learn more about socionomics, the link below this video will give you a quick overview. Thanks for your time. I'm Robert Folsom.